Now, I was discharged from the United States Navy as an enlisted man with a rank of E-22 in August of 1992. To wit, it was an 8-year enlistment senior minors program that began when President Reagan was in office and ended when George Bush was president, Reagan's vice president, because that would be 8 years or more. I enlisted in 1984, 84 and 6, 90 and 2, 92. Now, when I went to boot camp, I had a defective enlistment. I was supposed to go on the job training 4 weeks on the job training for hospital corpsmen. That's what my contract said. So it was defective enlistment. So they reclassified me while I was there. They put me in hospital courier school, and then I was encouraged to do 2 years and get out, and I didn't. Why would I do 2 years and then get out? I was already in college, finished one semester. So I was in the delayed entry program. Now, at that time, the Cold War was very hot, and the training was for nuclear war. The training was geared for nuclear war. At least that's my impression of it. So now, my first reserve center was Naval Reserve Center Freeport. Then it was Naval Reserve Center Amityville. Sometimes I was at Royal Reserve Center for training, but they were not my home reporting center. Reserve Training Command, I guess. Now I had field training because the Navy corpsmen go to the Marines when the Marines go to war, or they go with a communication company. That's what I heard. I don't know. So they gave me Marine uniform, fatigues, and combat boots. They didn't give me combat boots in the Navy. I got combat boots in the reserves center. I had two pairs. My utility coat was bling and disappeared. My hats, my Navy hats all disappeared. My Marine hats all disappeared. My name tag disappeared. My caduceus disappeared. My rank insignias disappeared. Everything disappeared. My enlistment papers disappeared. My records disappeared too. So now there was one time when we had training on the M16, was one session, not even a full day. We had the guns and we had the bullets and we had to use all the bullets and we had to clean up all the mess. We could not leave one shell on the grounds. Every bullet had to be accounted for. Returning it was a problem. You took it out, you had to use it, and you have to have the shell, I guess. So now that was that, and it was fun shooting the M16, never knowing that how destructive it could be because I'm shooting at a target down the lane, a cardboard on a wooden plank kind of thing. Now the cardboard fell down. It doesn't mean that I hit it. I could have been, someone else could have been, a sharpshooter could have been aiming at my target and shooting it down. And you go there and you count the bullets. But a sharpshooter over there and over there put 10 bullets in it and you got qualified even though you didn't hit it once, right? That's possible, right? Uh, mhm. Now, I kind of learned how to aim and I may have hit the target. So now I thought that was the only time I held the M16, but there was another time when we went somewhere in a truck and the maybe there was an officer or supervisor that loaded the guns or whatever and gave each man respectively maybe change our uniform while we were in the dark because by the time I jumped out of the truck, I could see I could see in front of me it was somewhat there was like a line of sight for briefly and then it was total darkness. When I jumped out, I kept running forward and landed on my heels maybe. I was light. I think I had the M16 in my hands. I'm not sure. I think there was an embankment that you could have rolled down into, or you could have kept running straight ahead. No, it was pitch black. I don't know what happened afterwards. I know I jumped out of the truck. It could have been a stage theatrical thing, or it could have been real. So now, I know a little bit about seals and greenberry, at least the names. So now you have these greenberry in the dark up in their planes, or they go through one maze after another and end up on a plane, and they're up there following instructions, and they have you know, their backpack on them, and they walk out of the plane not knowing where they're walking to. What happens? Do they fall and die, or do they go on autopilot and save themselves? Do they do it like that? Because I kind of theorize that you don't know where you're going and what you will be doing. You get trained, you report for duty, or you don't report for duty, and what happens, happens. That's what I think. I don't know that, but that's what I think. Because having people know it endanger the people who are on the mission, right? If the mission is successful, no one will hear about it. If it's not, you'll have lots of deaths all over the place. That's what I think. I don't know, but I think like that. I think that from circumstantial inferences.